Hey, Sandy. I'm Shauna Rule, GovTrek Program Director. We are elevating the next generation of women in leadership at GovTrek. Working with this new generation of young leaders over the past several weeks makes me so optimistic about the future of our country. Welcome to the first inaugural GovTrek finale and campaign competition. Thank you for joining us today. Following opening remarks, we will all have the pleasure of experiencing 8 student team campaign videos and live Q&A with judges and awards. You, the audience, will have the opportunity to vote on your favorite campaign team during the People's Choice Awards. So stay tuned. The American Association of University Women, founded in 1881, is the nation's leading voice on equity for women and girls. Its national membership of 170,000 members and supporters seeks to advance equity for women and girls through research, education, and advocacy. People of every race, creed, age, gender, sexual orientation, national origin, and level of physical ability are invited to join. Next slide. AAUW California facilitates California branches in meeting the vision and the mission of AAUW by providing programs, education, and resources like GovTrek. So why GovTrek? As part of, next slide, please. Thank you. As part of AAUW California's ongoing efforts, we are creating a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive government by launching our new virtual statewide program designed to engage young women across California who are high school juniors and seniors, with the goal of elevating a new generation to pursue careers in public service and elected office. Participants have learned about career paths and career journeys from 16 legislators and guest speakers, and engaged in a team competition to create a realistic campaign simulation. Participants have met peers from across California, sharpened their public speaking skills, written speeches, designed political flyers and digital ads, conducted audience analysis for voter outreach, all making their college applications stand out. 105 diverse young leaders from across California registered for GovTrek. And we've spent 5 Saturdays together in this interactive program. Participants are leaving energized, informed, and armed with career ideas, connections, and inspiration to make a positive impact in the world. We are so excited for you to meet the first GovTrek cohort of California. But before you do, we are honored and humbled to hear Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins provide her opening remarks.
Hello, I'm Toni Atkins, President Pro Tempore of the California State Senate. Congratulations on making it to the American Association of University Women's GovTrek finale and campaign competition. It's good to hear that so many young women are interested in learning more about elections and government. I hope this program inspires you to get more involved with your community or maybe work on a campaign. After all, it's a really exciting time to be a woman in politics. In California, we elected an historic number of women to statewide office during the 2022 election. Our Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State, State Controller, and State Treasurer are now all women. And in the California State Legislature, we now have 50 women legislators, 18 in the Senate and 32 in the Assembly. That is more than we have ever had. We also have one of the more diverse legislatures in the country. The latest election brought us a record number of LGBTQ legislators and a lot of firsts, like the first Sikh and Muslim legislators in state history, both of which happen to be women. Women legislators chair over 30 committees and lead 5 of the major legislative caucuses: the Black Caucus, the Latino Caucus, the LGBTQ Caucus, the Environmental Caucus, and of course, the Legislative Women's Caucus. This confirms what we already knew. Women can run in tough races and women can win. They can win seats that have never been held by someone like them. But I want to be real with you. Even today, when a woman runs for office, she winds up working harder, making more calls, facing harsher criticism, and jumping through more hoops than her male colleagues would ever be expected to. Those stakes are even higher for LGBTQ and trans candidates. But don't be discouraged. We have more momentum than we ever had, and we're making history with every election cycle. That's one of the reasons I'm so honored to speak to all of you. Some say that today's youth are our future leaders. I disagree. You're our present and future leaders. It's never too early to start creating a better world, and that's exactly what young people like you are doing all over the state and country. It's easy to look at the divisions that exist in society today and the severity and complexity of the problems we face and be apprehensive getting involved in politics. But when I listen to young women talk about their vision for the future, whether it's related to education, social justice issues, addressing the climate crisis, or any number of other challenges facing our state, I'm inspired by the viewpoints and the commitment to bring about real change. Continue having those conversations with us. We all win when women like you are part of important policy discussions. I'm sure you've learned things in this program that will serve you well should you decide to get involved with politics, whether it's to support someone or something you believe in, or better yet, run for office yourself. I want to leave you with two important pieces of advice. First, believe in yourself and don't be afraid to be your true, authentic self. Second, find mentors to help you along your journey. I would not be where I am today if it were not for the support of mentors, many of them women who took the time to offer advice, connect me with others, recommend me for exciting professional opportunities, and share their experiences. I still reach out to my mentors regularly, and I am immensely grateful for all their help and advice, even today. Those have been the keys to being a successful leader for me. So what's next for you? Now that you've finished this program, I encourage you to reach out to your local assembly member or senator about an internship. That's a great way to learn more about state government. The California legislature also has an incredible fellows program at the state capitol that you can apply for after college. Our communities are growing stronger because of dedicated young people like you. I look forward to seeing what you are able to accomplish and hearing your stories of success. Know that you are powerful, that your voice is powerful, and that you can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Before we move into the competition, let me provide a brief overview of the competition categories and prizes. Our VIP judges will be evaluating campaigns on established criteria to identify the best candidate speech, the best campaign management, the best voter outreach plan, the best campaign ad and flyer, and of course, the grand prize team will be awarded for the best overall campaign. What are the competition winner prizes? For the grand prize team, all team members will receive internships. And because our girls are scattered across California, we will work to assign internships in their local jurisdiction or area. For all other category winners, specific team members who were in those particular roles, like campaign management, voter outreach plan, campaign ad and flyer, and stump speech, these team members will receive a politically themed t-shirt and a copy of the Empowered Citizens Guide, 10 Steps to Passing a Law That Matters to You by author Pat Libby. And finally, all GovTrek students who were proud of every single one of you will receive a certificate of completion. Next slide, please. Let's welcome our VIP judges, who you will see during the Q&A portion of our program. Regina Lusencourt, Lobbyist and former press secretary for State Senator Parker, Regina is based out of the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore area. She is a senior political and legislative director, having led successful state and federal campaign programs, resulting in the passage of more than 5 transportation and labor citywide policy resolutions, protecting transportation workers and their jobs. She collaborates with allied partners, labor unions, policy specialists, and elected officials, meeting with statewide and municipal leaders across the country. Her expertise in engaging social media outlets, local and regional press outreach has contributed to increasing the importance of these issues. Thank you for joining us today, Regina. Genevieve Fry-Rosansky. Genevieve is a speechwriter and a strategic communications professional living in the Washington, D.C. area. She was the senior speechwriter for U.S. Secretary of Labor, Alexander Acosta, and the press secretary to U.S. Senator Jeff Flake, who is now the U.S. ambassador to Turkey. Her writing can be found in Tier 1 newspapers and on nonprofit organizations' websites and blogs, and heard in boardrooms, at conferences, and in stadiums. Throughout her career, she has helped leaders and organizations say what matters most. Thank you for joining us, Genevieve. And Lisa Matz. Longtime AAUW members will remember Lisa Matz as the wonderful advocate who represented AAUW and women's equity issues on Capitol Hill for 15 years. She has a reputation for strategic and creative approach to government relations and grassroots organizing. At heart, Lisa is a mentor and a teacher. Lisa was most recently with Ohio Citizen Action, a nonprofit organization that mobilizes people around the issues of public health, environmental justice, and consumer protection. She's now an independent consultant, providing keynote speeches, career coaching, and strategic advocacy advice and training for progressive nonprofits. You can find her on Twitter and LinkedIn. Thank you, judges, for your leadership. So let the competition begin. Get ready, folks, to be inspired by our young GovTrek leaders. A quick reminder, as you watch the videos, please take note of your favorite teams, because you too will have an opportunity to vote for your favorite team in our People's Choice poll. So please, make a note of the team name, because that's what you'll be voting on. And keep in mind, look for your favorite campaign video. So at this point, let's view the first campaign video from team number 1, and this will be Team Elena.
Imagine attending a school where the classrooms are overcrowded, the resources are limited, and the teachers are stretched thin. A school where learning is a daily struggle and the odds are stacked against them. For many children in District 10, specifically Mount Diablo High, a Title I school, this is their reality, and so it was for me. I know firsthand the challenges that our students and teachers face, and I am passionate about finding solutions that work. I believe that every child deserves access to quality education regardless of their circumstances, and I know that with the right support and resources, we can make a difference for the lives of our students. My name is Elena Noguera, and I am running under the Democratic Party for the District 10 seats in the House of Representatives. I will be a voice for change in the communities where their problems have been overlooked for far too long. Growing up, I saw firsthand how difficult it was for people to access basic necessities. I saw friends and families struggle to find a place to live that they can afford, and I saw people who couldn't afford to get the medical care that they needed. It was heartbreaking to see, and that's why I'm so passionate about affordable housing and accessibility in healthcare. I spent most of my life here, which has allowed me to see where change is needed. The top issues our communities are facing at the moment are access to affordable healthcare, affordable housing, and improvement in our education system. These 3 areas are essential components of a fair and just society that ensures that every individual has access and equal opportunities to lead a decent life. We cannot have a fair and just society if healthcare is too expensive for the average family. We cannot have a fair and just society if the cost of housing is so high that working class families cannot afford to live in decent homes. We cannot have a fair and just society if children's education opportunities are determined by their parents' income or zip code. To compensate for the lack of staffing in lower income schools specifically, a more equitable distribution of education dollars in districts, and a raise to teacher salaries will create an environment where quality teachers are more likely to stay. When I am elected, I will work to ensure that every student will receive quality education and that parents won't have to choose between bonding with their newborn or paying rent. Affordable housing projects will give more people the opportunity to grow substantial lives in our community. The quality of life for District 10 and our nation as a whole will improve if you allow me to represent you. Help me create a fair and just society that works for everyone. La igualdad no es una opción, es un derecho. I am Elena Noguera, and I am running to be your representative for a seat in the House of Representatives for District 10. Let me represent you, District 10. Thank you.
More information about Elena, her campaign, and the issues she's highlighting can be found on her website that is noted on our team's campaign ads and flyers. All are available in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking constituents. This flyer emphasizes how Elena strives to create a fair and just society that works for everyone as a fellow member of District 10. Similarly, the ad functions as a social media graphic that summarizes the issues she is ready to tackle and reminds voters of the November 8th election. From here, we can go to Elena's website, which constituents can choose to view in either English or Spanish as seen here. On Elena's website, we've included her slogan, vision, about page, issues of focus, and opportunities for those who want to be involved in Elena's campaign with volunteer signups and donation forms. Her contact information is also provided here. District 10 encompasses multiple cities, with 46% of the population being Hispanic, 61% of households making $100,000 or less, 32% of children speaking Spanish, and 17% of children living in poverty. The statistics of the cities of Byron, Antioch, Clayton, and Concord are visible on Elena's site because of their needs that align with the issues she focuses on. In comparison, wealthier neighborhoods in the district contain stark differences in demographics, which Elena plans to address by placing emphasis on improving the education system in neighborhoods such as Lafayette and San Ramon, which can increase votes for Elena in these areas. Our canvassing map covers the area of District 10 and also educates viewers on redistricting so that they can be informed voters. This is our voter outreach plan, which will not be visible to the public when published. As of February 10 of 2023, the voter demographics of District 10 include a high percentage of voters being Democrats over Republicans and more youths being pre-registered as being Democrats. As mentioned previously, these are our target voters who are inclined to vote for Elena because her stance on issues align with their needs and because they might identify with her and her story. However, this doesn't mean that they are certain to vote for Elena, so efforts to secure their votes will be implemented as seen in the following. Our swing voters who are undecided and may not be attached to any political party may be willing to vote for Elena if her stances on issues are in their favor. As swing voters can be vital to winning a close election, our outreach plans include focusing on securing their votes. We have outlined a 3-part volunteer recruitment plan that involves in-person, virtual, and hybrid methods. Elena will attend in-person events and will be contacting educational institutions to advertise volunteer and internship opportunities and hold informational sessions on the importance of civic engagement. Virtually, we'll be posting on social media, sending out newsletters, and staying in contact with all volunteers and donors to keep them engaged and informed as our campaign progresses. Training sessions will also be held, and throughout the campaign, feedback forms will be sent out to volunteers for data management. Similarly, our 3-part voter outreach strategy includes Elena attending in-person community events for publicity and visibility, and volunteers going door-to-door in the neighborhoods of cities that are significantly affected by the issues Elena focuses on. Informational sessions will also be held on voter registration, especially for young voters and English language learners who are less inclined to do so or may need more assistance, as only 62% of the people in District 10 are registered voters. Additionally, we will obtain a list of registered voters in District 10 in order to contact them. Volunteers will consistently post on social media once a day, and newsletters will be emailed bi-weekly. Our 9-month timeline starts on the 14th of February after announcing Elena's candidacy and includes preparation for the primary and general election. Lastly, our budget of $1 million, similar to previous budgets and not including donations, accounts for costs such as ads, flyers, meet and greets, door-to-door marketing, and other expenses incurred from fees and taking care of volunteer needs. Thank you for your time, and remember to vote for Elena and her team. Together, we can create a just and fair society for all.
Team Elena, that was amazing. At this time, Team Elena reps and our VIP judges, please turn on your camera and mics for 6 minutes of Q&A. So we have Haley. Welcome, Haley, and Lisa and Regina. If you'd like to go ahead with the Q&A session.
That'd be great. Regina, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and get started. It's good to see you. So I agree. This was a really well put together campaign. I thought you had a charismatic candidate. I thought that your outreach, in light of the fact that 62% of the voters were unregistered, was very smart. And for once, we had one of the teams talking about swing voters. You can't necessarily neglect swing voters. So I was really pleased to see that, particularly when you have such a low percentage of folks registered to vote. You also had great message repetition, fair and just society, fair and just society. That was in my brain. And that's exactly what you want. Repetition is the key to learning in politics. So good on all of you. The question that I had, though, specifically is, tell me a little bit more about how you were going to do voter outreach, because you talked about reaching out to students and Hispanics, but I was wondering if you had a little bit better sense of the vehicles you'd use to do that.
So hi, I'm Haley. So our voter outreach plan, we had lots of ideas, especially since Elena went to one of the schools within this district. We're planning to have her go visit this school and have like an assembly, discuss, what she's fighting for and the community that she wants to create, the problems that she's seen just from living in the community, and make sure that it's like reciprocal, like the students see that as well, so they can understand like how they will be impacted directly. And also just informing them on how they can become voters as well. Like we think we mentioned before, like how they can like register to vote, and then how the voting process works, so they can see that it's simple, doesn't take much time, and they can be active participants in their society and their community. And so lots of interactions there. Other schools can be involved as well. We also have plans to do like meet and greets, other places, and just really get her involved with individuals in the community, and stuff like that.
Great, thank you.
Hello. It's I echo everything that Lisa said. I was really impressed. I thought the thought process around the voter outreach and sort of the different segments there hit home. I like how you guys incorporated sort of new ways of reaching voters. I'm really happy that you mentioned meet and greets. For someone who's in this fundraising space here in DC, having access to money for folks to meet candidates or whatever isn't always the most attractive, especially when you're talking about reaching a diversified set of voters. And that's outside of race, that could be economics whatsoever. The question I have is just, we're talking about people go back and forth with polling, right? And, whether you get a lot of accuracy with polling. And this question is, how do you, what would you use as your mechanisms to get a good pulse within the community of what they believe or how they could relate to your issue? So, they had the old school traditional polling of phone messaging. Like, what other maybe creative ideas that you see within your group, in your age group or whatsoever, that could help you get a good pulse of that issue? Concern is going to be a big concern for the community.
Thank you for your question. I'm Abigail Choi, one of the campaign managers. And besides texting and calling in order to poll people and to see where their needs are, we're also thinking of employing social media sites, and especially for younger voters, or even just educating students such as myself on ways that they can vote in the future, or ways that they can, or just surveying their needs in the community, so when they get older, they can be educated and informed. And then we're also thinking of doing door-to-door meetings and going out there, canvassing, sending out flyers, and just knocking on doors to ask people what their needs are in their moment.
I think that's great. And I think that energy and that thought process is what, I might be wrong, is what led to the idea of geofencing and sort of seeing what are people thinking about, what sites are they looking at, what are they reading, to kind of heighten the candidates' efforts in getting things done. So kudos to y'all. You guys did a great job. I'm truly impressed.
This time we're going to watch their video.
My name is Alyssa Carrillo. I have grown up in District 2 and am running for the LA County Board of Supervisors. Some people may think that I am too young to run for such an esteemed position, but I can relate to the new generation with energy and exuberance. As a Hispanic who has experienced firsthand what it feels like to be unhoused, the inaffordability of housing at current times is an important issue that must be addressed. There are many factors to take into consideration: eviction, substance abuse, mental health issues, high-priced healthcare, and costly childcare. Despite all these reasons, I believe that everyone deserves a home. Because housing is so expensive, my team and I seek to create affordable housing and build new homes for the community. There are two ways of targeting housing for the unhoused. One is by providing temporary shelters. In doing so, we are looking to provide easier access into shelters, such as a shorter application process where we will offer translation as well as easy instructions to support individuals with the help they need. Shelters are only a temporary fix, so my team and I are looking at ways to prepare permanent housing as well. This leads to the second way to increase housing affordability: building new houses. We can do this by taking over old buildings such as unused office space and converting them into apartments. To mitigate the expense of this process, we will focus on applying for federal grants to receive assistance. We have members on our team who are experts on applying for grants and can offer assistance needed. Furthermore, we are also looking to bring supermarkets, clothing stores, jobs, and a thriving community to build a safe and welcoming neighborhood where our families can live in peace. All of this will result in the change and prosperity we all long for in our new neighborhoods. A vote for me is a vote for everyone young, everyone with new ideas, everyone who is Hispanic in and out of my community. I have listened and will continue to listen, whether it be in English or Spanish or a voice that has yet to be heard. I am young with a new perspective, and I have a vision for this neighborhood, a place that fosters affordability, love, and care in our homes. En la familia, el amor nunca termina. Love never ends in your family.
While running for LA County Board of Supervisors, my team has put together a strategic plan that we will implement in the course of this election. For starters, District 2 demographics show that it has a majority Hispanic population, has low-income residents, a younger population, and has approximately 300,000 registered voters, 70% that are registered to vote in the Democratic Party, 10% that are registered no political party, which presents our goal of needing 50,001 votes to win. In addition to demographics, it has been proven that Hispanics are the biggest population within my district and its represented cities, which is why my main outreach will be directed towards Hispanics and young people that I will be able to represent in the community that hasn't always had the full opportunity to vote. And in order to do that, we are advising and acquiring a budget of $25,000, which will go towards food for volunteers, event costs such as invitations, room rental, PA system, refreshments, printing for campaign pieces such as door hangers and flyers to hand out, TikTok ads and promotions, and other social media costs, voter lists and database management system, and stipends for my campaign team. Also making it notable that our campaign will seek in-kind donations for our website creation and management and other costs that are not budgeted, and our campaign will solicit sponsors for events to cover some costs. And going from there, a key part of our campaign that we recognize is the use of volunteers. In order to recruit volunteers, I will be going to the high school and community colleges in the district to give motivational speeches. And will also tell them that if they volunteer for our campaign, that we can give them community service hours that they need to graduate high school, to which we will implement a recruit, train, and retain process with our volunteers that will help not only within my campaign, but give and serve as an example as to what the future will look like with me as a supervisor, a community youth engaged district. A part of that being that I will also continue to be active in the community in places that I already have established a name for myself. Along the lines of that, I will also be canvassing alongside my team and fellow volunteers, where maps like the one shown will be prepared for all targeted neighborhoods, more populated cities with a majority Hispanic demographic. Our campaign and process has been built on the formality of organization and ensuring that things get done. With that being said, our implementation of the pre-election will begin 9 months before the November election, to which we have a planned out timeline of the events to follow. Our voter outreach timeline is as followed. It will begin 9 months before the election, like we had previously stated, which will be in the month of February, and it will start off with visiting schools, which will last all the way to May, and that is when we will be giving motivational speaking and recruiting volunteers. It is also the time when we will have our Facebook outreach, our campaign website that will air in May, and our May 6, 2023 event. And that is also the time where we will start canvassing and fundraising. Moving on to June and the summer is when we will have activities that I myself, the candidate, will participate in, which is farmer markets, community cleanups, and festivals. This will also include barbecues and water balloons that will be used for summer activities and youth and community engagement. In addition to this, our Get Out to Vote outreach will start when ballots are mailed to voters. Registered voters who have been identified as our supporters or registered Democrats will be encouraged to develop a plan on how they will vote and told the ways and where they can vote. Supporters of us will be contacted up to 5 times when the county elections office shows that they have turned in their ballot.
My Terrific team and I are excited to start working with you throughout our campaign. So please make sure that you are registered to vote to have your voices heard. Thank you. My name is Alyssa Carrillo, and I approve this message.
Hello, my name is Kemi Wetzel, and I'm the
Impressive, girls. At this time, can Team Carrillo and our VIP judges turn their mics and cameras on for 6 minutes of Q&A?
I'm happy to kick it off, Sean, if that's.
Sure. Thank you, Regina. Please do.
I feel, Lisa, I feel like we're on a seesaw. We could, whatever we could take turns. Well, so nice to meet you both. Great job. I really love the attention to detail that you had stated in your campaign. I think the thing that stood out to me most is mentioning how you would pay for some of the financial requirements for housing. I think what people are unaware of is seeking beyond the state resources and understanding that there are so many grants and even federal assistance that often goes unused because people are not aware of the resources that are available to them. So, I mean, in light of the pandemic, you may have heard how many states have gotten received grants and support for unemployment, housing, rental assistance, and states, either didn't have the resources to get it out to those in need quickly and therefore, went back to the federal government. So highlighting that there is help outside of the state and that you're well versed in being able to pull that support is really impressive. I know that was a very long comment, but I wanted to highlight for the group to hear. So kudos to y'all for that. So I guess, as someone who used to have to recruit volunteers, I love that you guys focus on unpaid volunteers and sort of in the communities where to get them. Now, the question is, what messaging would you use to sort of incite them or to get them to volunteer, right? Because you will get your politically driven folks, but how do you sort of connect that to this election, especially Board of Commissioner, where it's unfamiliar to a lot of younger members about what that even entails, right? So I'd be curious to know, how would you get them excited for those who are just not politically savvy?
So a way of getting them we have discussed is by having conversations one-on-one, holding meetings to kind of get their voices out, that we are making sure that their voices are heard and all their concerns. And we are taking that into account when I'm running. We want to make it seem like they are as included as everyone on the team, whether they are just volunteering or have a position or anything. We just want to make sure everyone feels included.
And to add on to that, a thing that we were looking at was the statement of silent majority versus loud minority. So with our outreach and who we're outreaching to help us with volunteers, we're just gonna tell them and just basically make them aware. I feel that we have, and we're building a lot of faith on the fact that they're willing to do and help make this change. So I think that if they come to the awareness and being able to understand that their voice matters and that they should be the people to make the change that affects them, that they will help volunteer.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Great. And I apologize, but my screen is cutting off Ms. Carrillo's name. Can you tell me your first name again?
Alyssa?
Alyssa, thank you so much. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to call you by your name, but there's this arrow that is over your name and I couldn't get it. So yes, I thought this was a great time too. I thought great job too. I thought the specificity on the issues, childcare is particularly hot right now, housing, and you were very specific with some of your solutions, which is key. It's one thing to say we need to fix it. It's another thing to actually have concrete ideas about how we want to fix that. I have to say this is a small thing, but in some respects it's not a small thing. I like the music. I thought the music was a nice touch, and I felt, that it brought me back. It brought me into it very clearly. And I thought, again, here you had a great charismatic, good speaking, well-speaking candidate. And one of the things, though, that I would ask you about in terms of your outreach plans is you had a good mention of voter registration, but I'm always going to fuss on how much voter registration do you have, because as Tarina said, the whole vocal minority, silent majority thing, making sure that we get folks to the polls is incredibly important. So can you talk a little bit more about some of your voter outreach ideas, specific truthfully to Gen X, because that's who you were really talking about here. Some of them obviously aren't even of age to vote, but could still be educated that they need to be prepared to, register soon. So give me a little sense of that.
So we are planning on pre-registering high school students. At my local high school, they have begun to do that. So that's part of one of our plans. Another one is going to community colleges and advocating for registration and the ballots. We also are planning on door-to-door contact and getting the message out to vote. You can vote up until 15 days before the actual people can still register to vote. And those are some of our plans.
And in addition to this, we're also made notable that the voter registration and how many people vote, we had mentioned that there's around 300,000 people, but only 100,000 people actually do vote from past elections. So that's why our goal was 50,001 people. And then a part of that being that we think that it's achievable because it's straightforward. It's nothing, out of the ordinary. It's just us being a part of the community and engaging in community events, which we had mentioned with our outreach plan. It's just really highlighting the events that we have in our community and really putting the focus on the community and not just the campaign itself.
The last thing I just wanted to say too, and I want to put this out there for all of the groups, your particular group, I would say hands down had, for me, the best one of the best campaign speeches. And part of the reason for that, Alyssa, is because your pacing was good. You didn't speak too fast. And that's a common thing for everybody to remember when they're doing public speaking. I have to do it myself, is that we can talk too fast. We have so many ideas, they trip over our tongue. And because you paced it so well, I was able to actually hear what you were saying and digest certain ideas. So I wanted to put that out there as well. And by the way, I like the ads.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, judges and Team Carrillo. We need to move on to our next team, but good luck. And now we're going to watch Team 3, which is Team Jolina.
Elect Jolina Rodriguez for 25th District Assembly. Support our students for a brighter future. Elige a Jolina Rodriguez para la Asamblea 25. Apoya a nuestros alumnos para un futuro más brillante. Invest in high school counselors, improve college readiness, provide post-secondary resources. For our design, we chose colors other than red, white, and blue to set Jolina apart from previous candidates and show that she is bringing change. We also chose the colors yellow and used the sun to signify a brighter future on the rise.
Is our voter outreach plan. We plan to recruit student volunteers for canvassing. This will be a great volunteering experience that may lead to future internships. We want to gain support from school district and boards. We need full support from school districts if we want to start making change in our school system. We want to start hosting boba and chat fundraisers to bring younger communities. Many schools in District 25 host boba fundraisers themselves. This may bring out more high schoolers to join the campaign. We plan to hold assemblies at local schools to inform seniors on the voting process and help them register. Many of the high school students I spoke with claimed that they didn't know how to vote or where to go, and many of them recommended that there should be a class or lesson that would educate them on how to do so. If I am able to host these voting classes, they will know an individual who is running and who they could trust. We want to communicate thoughts on social media and email marketing. Emails are a very easy way to send a large amount of information to individuals. We plan to send out a campaign email twice a month until the month of the election. Then we'll send campaign emails every week. It is best to send as many emails promoting our campaign. We need our voices heard. Social media is a great way to get our word out and is popular with the youth. We want to create yard signs, stickers, and pins to show support. I want to participate in parades, festivals, markets such as San Jose Veggie Fest, San Jose Flea Markets, Tet and Moon Festivals. Flea markets are very popular attractions for this community and brings in people from middle and lower classes. I have made many connections with these visitors since I used to work at one of these markets. I want to attend city council meetings so we are able to get our voice out on what we want to see changed in our community. That concludes our plan. Thank you.
Hello, I am Jolina Rodriguez, and I am running to be your next California Assembly member representing District 25. As you all know, education is our cornerstone of our society. Knowledge is the foundation for all reforms and is essential for progress. Without a pursuit of greater intellectual enrichment, our society stagnates. The future of tomorrow rests in the hands of students today. With education having such a prominence, any flaw in our school systems to be treated as a threat to our destiny, it is crucial that we take action now to address the lack of proper support for our students. Knowledge is power, and my goal is to empower the people. Through education, equal opportunity is made. A strong education foundation is necessary to start addressing challenges such as poverty, unemployment, our climate crisis, crime, inequality, and conflicts. I would like to focus my attention to students and people with low incomes or suffering with extreme poverty. We must ensure equal opportunity is for everyone, because how can we expect someone to succeed if they are constantly worried about where their next meal is coming from, or if they have time to study or finish their schoolwork while working several jobs, or even possibly caring for their siblings. Being Mexican American, I am no stranger to inequality. There is little representation towards Hispanics and Latino people. Growing up in America that preached fairness and equal opportunities for all, it was difficult to see equal opportunities when I was discouraged at every turn I made. When I was in middle school, I directly remember one of my teachers jokingly telling the class, in order to pass this class, you have to copy off an Asian student. That felt like a big slap in the face for a teacher to say something without no repercussions. After that incident, I was more focused on bettering the education for all. With education being a cornerstone of our society, for a teacher to say this without stopping to think how this affects students later showed the dramatic flaw in our education system. There is still a desperate need for reform, especially in school counselors. For many schools in California, each counselor is assigned an average of 527 students. That is twice the recommended ratio, which is still an astonishing 250 to 1. While our education system has indeed come a long way, it still continues to fall short in many ways. However, my goal is to not waste your time listing all the things that are wrong that I wish were right. I do not only want to speak with wishful thinking, I want to take action. I see youth-led movements and arising and succeeding. I see brighter future near. We are in desperate need of change, and that change starts at the very place where brilliant minds are fostered, schools. After personally speaking with many current high school students and hearing their stories, I recognize that one of the greatest issues with our system was the great negligence that our students face in schools, starting with school counselors. Students feel unheard by the counselors. I feel like they can't speak to their counselors. And a big part of that is caused by the limited amount of time they have with their counselors. Back when I was in high school, I recall being packed in a small common room where more than 50 other students were waiting for a one-on-one meeting with my counselor. And I was given less than 5 minutes to plan out my future. As I previously stated, I figured out that California school has an average of 527 students per counselor. That is double the recommended ratio of 250. And this is outrageous. I will not allow this to persist any longer. If I'm elected as your assembly member for District 25, I will not stop until we can close the ratio between students and counselors. I plan to issue city bonds in order to generate greater funding for school counselors, so we are able to have many counselors that can help schools with larger amounts of students. We want to grant them more training so they're able to give out more resources for individuals. I also want to include more mental health awareness centers, and hopefully increase the amount of mental health counselors too. How can someone succeed without support? I will ceaselessly lobby until a bill is passed to limit the number of students per counselor. Hire the training education for more mental health support initiatives. Only together we can bring change. Vote for me as your next assembly member.
Would you like to start the Q&A?
Yeah, so several good points to share here. The personal story about what the teacher said was really powerful. So sharing those kinds of personal stories in a stump speech can really help you be relatable to the audience. So excellent choice there. Sad and disturbing story, but excellent sharing of that story. By the same token, you had kind of great this idea about counselors and about the problem, use specific numbers, what you do to solve it. And that was very much clear in your kind of demonstrated personal commitment. And one thing I would say is that in a stump speech, you might not want to spend quite so much time on that one issue. You might want to spread the wealth a little bit. And I will tell you that portion of the speech is going to be great for other places. And you just need to shorten it a little bit, I think, in terms of, how that works. But again, the story was good. I love the yellow in the sun. It's literally a brand new day. And, that really just reached me. So I just would throw all that out there. In terms of a question, as a grassroots person, I love that you have an ambitious canvassing goal. I love that you want to do social media. Talk to me a little bit more about how you want to target social media, because anymore these days, when it comes to politics, not just use of social media, but which social media is key. So did you have any specific places that you wanted to use it and how?
Okay, so I was focusing maybe on Instagram and Twitter, because what I realized is that many students who don't really care about politics or anything will usually be on these sites. So this way, if I am able to spread my message there, there's a possibility they'll be able to see it and then maybe have an idea or then want to start thinking about it. Because when I discussed with many students about like these issues, many of them said they don't really care about them because, a lot did because obviously their life, but the kids who weren't really as interested in politics, those kids, it's a big issue. Understand that, but it doesn't really involve me. But I think it should involve everyone because it's everyone's future. So if we get them active on social media, which they already are on, then my message could be spread towards them.
Great, thank you.
I think Lisa is looking at my notes, so I just want to report that. Okay.
We've both been in DC too long, Regina.
And so it's either that or I'm just being lazy with questioning, and that's not the case. Anyway, so listen, I'm just being having a sense of humor. I can't strongly echo what Lisa said on the art of storytelling. I think you're starting to see, if you look at the history of election speeches and stump speeches, they talk a lot about sort of connecting with the audience and what does that look like. And I think through time, you've seen great examples of that, even with our recent President Biden's State of the Union, how he often, to emphasize his issues, personalizes it by an example. It creates a sense of empathy and sort of humanness to connecting with the candidate and the voters. And so great job on that. I will say, yes, it was a little long because remember, everybody's attention span is and you get to a point where you kind of lose them and you want to be able to say all your sort of key points right at the start. And then the storytelling sort of wraps it up and creates this mushy feeling, right? And it's a great feeling. So great job. I do like the uniqueness of putting thought into the graphics and the coloring. I think that was cool. Sort of sets you apart from others, I guess. And then I have another comment. I'm just looking at my notes. I love that you put a lot of attention to what I call gathering spots, key gathering spots. Whether that's, when I think about reaching an ethnic community or diverse constituents, you think about what are the sort of areas they're congregating and what's important to them. Certain Black and brown communities, if you're talking about politics in a barbershop, most likely they'll vote for whomever there's a consensus. And the fact that you targeted flea markets as being a priority, festival markets, you have to know your community, know the tone of the community, where are people going to pay attention. And so I guess in light of that, when you're talking about key endorsements, give me some examples of what you think would be a good endorsement to gather or to, have, and think about diversifying the thoughts around that for your candidate in light of everything we just said.
I can take this one. I'm Sydney Herder. I'm the campaign manager. We talked a lot about mixing because we focused on education specifically and college counselors. So I think some key endorsements would, of course, be anyone in the education board, presidents of the school board, families who are well connected in that way where their focus is education, because we kind of said education first, everything will follow. We definitely want to focus on the individuals who are most prominent in that field, but endorsements can come from anyone. We're in an area that is historically Democrat, and so getting an endorsement from the previous candidate, from past candidates, from people who the community know will succeed and do well is really important to us. So I think because we have that focus on education and counselors, I think district boards especially, because those are the people who are going to be implementing these changes. If they're on board, why isn't everyone else? If they're the one who sees the day-to-day practices, they'll know best that our campaign supports productive growth.
That's cool. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Team Jolena. Thank you, Team Jolena and judges. We need to move on to the next team. So good luck. Team number 4 will be Team Juliana. And we will now watch their video. Team Juliana.
Set up with society and wanted a chance for your voice to be heard. Hello, my name is Juliana Kolb, and I am running to represent you as a member of the House of Representatives for District 49. By voting for me as a candidate, your young ballots are creating change itself. A vote for me is a vote for someone who will address the fact that the median salaries for women are 83% those of men. It is a vote that will align with the vision of AAUW by looking at the overwhelming and horrific statistics involving gender equity in the workplace. And it is a vote that will influence change in our society. Taking a stance on laws such as the Paycheck Fairness Act will address discrimination in the workplace and make such actions, including limiting paychecks based on gender or sexual orientation illegal and punishable by definition. I will strive to ensure that women are no longer earning 77 cents for every dollar that men earn working the same amount. Not only will voting for me be helping to fight for gender equity, but your vote will also be your voice on the discrimination of the LGBTQ community. A friend of mine from MiraCosta College has experienced microaggressions and verbal discrimination, including F-slurs and harassment in the workplace. As your representative, I will personally address experiences on college campuses like this one and will include the LGBTQ plus aspects of Title IX in my mission. Title IX prohibits sex discrimination in any educational setting, which includes any discrimination based on gender, identity, and sexual orientation. I am in support of Title IX and will work to bring further awareness to the equity issues that it addresses. By focusing on these issues in the workplace, it shows that your voice will be heard and will create a change in our evolving community. There is no prosperity without equality, and equality starts with you. Vote for me, Juliana Kolb, if you want a representative that will put in the effort to see change happen.
Our voter outreach plan has a lot of digital elements. These include social media posts, contacting people via text, and contacting people via email. Linking to a survey of issues that voters care about helps us build a stronger base. Including our audience directly in our campaign and adjusting our goals based off the population's needs will foster a sense of trust. If we are actively listening to, responding to, and incorporating their feedback into our campaign, that shows we are involved with the community and actually care about relevant issues. That will earn us more votes. To tap into our younger demographic, we'll do in-person speeches at colleges, such as MiraCosta. Speeches at Camp Pendleton will reach our military demographic. 45.5% of our campaign budget will be spent on physical advertisements, like paper, handout. 36.4% will be spent on digital advertisement, like social media. And 18.2% will be spent on volunteer retention, like food, t-shirts, etc. materials to be used at events. In January, we will be networking in District 49. February, we have retention to follow up with email and text subscription services. March and April, there are campus visits at universities. May and June has more volunteer retention, having bonding days, training, and refreshment. August and September, we go to Camp Pendleton, and Juliana explains why she cares about equity in the military. In October, there is more door-to-door advertisement, and November is the voting month. All of these will take place within California District 49. Here is our main graphic, which will be used throughout the campaign. It features where Juliana is running, what Juliana stands for, and our campaign slogan. No prosperity without equality. This flyer will be used for both physical posters and social media uploads. While this poster was intended specifically for MiraCosta College, it can also be used for more general advertisement purposes by removing the college location and event information. This is another poster from MiraCosta College. It was made to convince people why they should be interested in volunteering for our campaign. Volunteer hours in impacting one's government can foster a sense of inclusion, like one's participation matters. The ocean background was chosen to resonate with our audience since District 49 is along the coast. Our final flyer is a speech event at Camp Pendleton. The speech will address discrimination in the military specifically, as that's our target audience. It's more relevant than the subject of average workplace. Not everything in national averages will apply to the military, like pay discrepancy between peers. However, promotion discrepancy still applies, which will be discussed at the event. This graphic features a color palette of blue and red like our other posters. It was chosen not just because it's aesthetically pleasing, but also because they are colors in the US flag, hopefully resonating more with our military audience.
A daughter, a mother, a sister.
Team Juliana, do we have any reps on the call? Please turn on your camera and unmute your mic. Welcome.
Yeah, great job. I would have to say what I loved about, especially in the opening, was a sense of confidence, paying attention to these, what I call nonverbal cues. It's one thing to look at a camera and say a really compelling speech, but, sometimes people are paying attention to the visuals, right? Sort of the hand movements and, other things that sort of connect the audience to what you're saying and make it believable. So kudos to that as a comms major, and that's something that I always pay attention to. I'm just looking for, okay, the example you'd given about someone that had gotten discriminated in the workplace. I thought that was a good example. I would, sort of think about when you're giving examples and going back to the art of storytelling, flesh that out a little bit, and add some feelings to that. Like, how did that, you don't have to say what they actually said, but you said, that made the person feel helpless and, or hope or whatever, act some, evoke some type of emotion out of it, so that, again, the audience can connect. Simply just stating an example without attaching sort of more details and a story sort of, it doesn't invoke any type of emotional reaction. So I would just say to think about and consider that, but otherwise good thought process in trying to inject that. And I think overall, when you're talking about running as governor, it would be, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. When you're choosing a office to run for, understanding that as governor, you have to advocate and appeal to the entire state as opposed to a district or a municipal region. And so I guess my question is, how would you engage the entire state around these issues? Like, I get the sense of women inequality, but at the same time, you want others to vote for you or people who may not identify as women. And so understanding that and being careful about, the pronouns and others. So I'd just be curious to understand, like, sort of what creative ways you can get your issues out, but also make it a unifying message in terms of pulling in voters throughout the state.
Hi, I'm Isabella. Just sorry, by the way, a little correction. We were running for Congress. So Juliana was running for Congresswoman. But I totally understand the concern on the messaging for a specific target to women. We think that it is extremely important to find a niche and be able to target a specific audience, but also respecting the wider audience and looking for a wider issue, which is why we also wanted to attack holistically equity in the workforce, especially in the military. In our district, District 49, Camp Pendleton is an extremely large military base, if you guys are familiar with the San Diego area. There's a lot of military families there, and it's extremely important to understand the struggle of a military family, understand kind of what they care about. So in order to address equity in military families, that's kind of what we were going for, but also understanding paycheck fairness in the military, which is why we addressed the Paycheck Fairness Act. And also in our specific stump speech for Camp Pendleton, we are going to kind of address them specifically. So that's kind of how we were going to address different niches.
My apologies for the mistake there, but thank you.
Yeah, as someone that worked on women's issues and civil rights issues her whole career, the issues you chose were near and dear to my heart. And I feel like I have spent half my life trying to get the Paycheck Fairness Act passed, which a lot of the AEW members on this call can attest to because they were right there with me. So I love those choices, but I think Regina's right. You need to think in some respects more broadly. And some of it is not necessarily changing your focus. It's about how you talk about it. So I love that your campaign targeted military folks, and not just military members, but military spouses. That's huge. But a straight up gender equity message might not play so well on a military base. However, if you can figure out a way to message it the right way, then it could be something that could be useful, particularly if you're going for the spouses, particularly if you're talking about women's safety in the military. So it's not like you're using subterfuge, but you kind of message things differently when the audience is different, even though you might still be talking about the same thing. And so that's an important kind of message massaging that is key. But I thought that was great. I love all the digital elements. I thought you had a very charismatic candidate and gave a great speech. The one question that I would have is, you talked about wanting to do where did it go? Oh, different demographics targeting each month. And I was wondering why you wanted to kind of do that targeting month to month instead of everybody all the time. And there might be some good reasoning for that, or maybe you intended to do that, but just to highlight certain folks, certain months. But I wanted to ask that question. And by the way, before you answer that, the slogan about no prosperity without equality totally rocks.
Hello, my name is Logan. So the reason why we wanted to focus on one certain group each month is we didn't want to put everyone in like one boat, and we wouldn't be able to speak with people individually because it would be so much. So with diversitizing and just separating the different groups and different amounts of people without the different months, we're able to talk to people one-on-one and hear their problems and be able to give needs to their problems. And with this, we'll be able to just speak to the different audiences without it being all in one month, and just being able to give people like different areas. Like we select the different months will be like door to door or social medias. We'll have different platforms and different audiences. So we just want to recognize different audience.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for talking about equal pay. Like I said, near and dear to my heart.
Thanks, Logan. And thanks, Isabella. Nice work.
Thank you for your time.
I love your background, Logan.
Thank you.
Sure. Good luck. Next up, we have Team 5, which is Team Aquino. So we'll be watching Team Aquino's video next.
Hi, my name is Andrea Rojas, and I will be presenting Team Kiana's flyer. On the right, we have an image of our candidate, Kiana Aquino, with a shirt asking for people's vote that represents our campaign with the colors blue and white. Our way of appealing to young voters was to create a hashtag #KeepItClearBlue, and incorporate vibrant colors, in this case blue, to help get our message of clarity and increase transparency in our police force. Towards the bottom, we explain what the 3 C's of our campaign mean, which are clarity, community, and cooperation. We also include a link to help others get involved.
My name is Kiana Aquino, and I am running for San Diego District 3 City Council. Growing up in San Diego, California, I've witnessed firsthand the injustice and attacks against minorities from the police. Even in my own community, this violence is justified with a badge. As a Mexican-American woman living in a predominantly white area, there are moments where I felt like there was a target on my back. Like when the police did a random drug search at my high school that didn't feel so random. This is why I want to work with both our police force and the community to create transparency, to keep it clear. Our incumbent fails to acknowledge what happens within our police stations and the stigma cultivated around mental health in them. This lack of mental health education creates a strain on the relationships between the community and the police force. We can see these behaviors through internal investigations, a way for accused cops to be investigated by their own coworkers. However, these tend to be extremely biased and results in the one who opened the investigation being known as a whistleblower, and usually they are harassed and excluded. Not only is it a problem within the station itself, but in the jurisdiction process, it allows for complaints against the police to be removed after a matter of time. I believe that now is the time for a clear change in how police are held accountable. As San Diego City Council member for District 3, I will work alongside the local police force to ensure that public safety is a priority, not policing. There are statements that I'm for defunding the police or anti-police, but this is simply not true. I want to see the police force and community working hand in hand, helping each other to thrive. As previously mentioned, there can be an aggressive culture in police stations, and I will work with psychologists in stations that can help cops with possible poor mental health and coping mechanisms. Education is important for everyone, and I am determined for police stations to have the chance to speak with a professional on how to help mental health and behaviors they may encounter every day on the job. A big thank you to all my volunteers in this campaign. And for those who are for what I say, join me alongside my campaign. Remember to vote Kiana Aquino for District 3 City Council member. Hashtag keep it clear, Blue.
For our ad, we are presenting a TikTok with the Mean Girls theme, a very popular movie among young adults. We also created an Instagram post, seeing as TikTok and Instagram are the most used platforms to spread messages and allow for young people to see and interact with easily.
Kiana's a hard worker and committed, so I'm voting for her.
Kiana wants the police to work together in San Diego, so I'm voting for her. Kiana believes in public safety over policing, so I'm gonna vote for her.
Kiana believes that transparency is the key to community, which is why I'm voting for her.
Number one, drums go bump, bump, bump. This beat here will make your boom, boom, jump. If you's a fat one, put your clothes back on before you start putting potholes in my lawn. Oh my gosh, I'm under attack like my name was Saddam. I am the bomb from New York to Milan, and I can write a song sicker than Jeffrey Dawn. Who touched my car alarm? Breaking my car, you will hear Viper arm. I've been a superstar since Daddy King was raw. I'm live on stage, come on and give me some applause.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. You all are so wonderful.
Hi, my name is Christina Dutt, and I am the Field and Volunteer Manager. This flyer on your screen is our voter outreach plan. The very first image on the top are two stats. The stat on the left shows voter turnout regarding registered voters, which have decreased from 2014. The stat on the right shows why most Californians do not vote because of the lack of interest. But this all can change with younger voters. Below the stats are two maps. The map on the left is the San Diego County District 3 map and the communities inside. The map on the right shows an outline of those said communities and the neighboring communities that we can appeal to. Some communication strategies that we can use, that we will use 6 months prior when our candidate is running for county before the voting actually takes place. We can go door to door, use social media ads or posts, flyers, college boards, popular coffee shops, or community events. We can go to specific areas that our campaign can be reached by voters, like in Chicano Park and Balboa Park booth, UC San Diego, and San Diego City College. To appeal to a more diverse community and audience, we can have ASL signers as speeches. With that, we can also appeal to the San Diego Police Union. And we would work with nonprofits, churches, and establish collaborations. With this, the range costs with a $25,000 limit, we would have $10,000 on ads and $4,000 on a generator. Thank you.
Impressive, girls, very impressive. Okay, so we have Kiana and Sarah representing their team. Judges, please go ahead.
I enjoyed it. This was I'm still dancing to the Missy Elliott. So that's cool. I love it. I found myself to be very engaged. And then overall, and everyone we heard, the issues are just amazing. The issue of policing is so controversial, even on a national level. And so it was interesting to see how, you would have incorporated this to those who may be pro or against. So I think, let me just highlight one. I thought the presentation and sort of the ideas in engagement was extremely innovative. TikTok, social media, it is the way forward in terms of how grassroots will look like. So you still have the on the ground, but then, it'll transfer to online, and that is just the reality of how campaigning is looking like moving forward. I also like how you showed how others can volunteer, because there are a lot of still what I call, I don't want to say older, but seasoned voters and volunteers that may want to be involved and may not be used to using social media or whatever. So making it fun and interactive. And I thought that was cool. I thought the presentation was a little on the blurry side. So you might have had some great points. I heard you, but if you had additional points that were on there, I couldn't really see it. So be very clear about visibility, because that also, talks of that you're talking about your messaging and plan. It would have been great to have a personal story in this, because of the issue. You want to, I guess, people need to understand why policing is an issue. Okay, you did mention the high school, maybe flushing that out a little bit. But and this will lead to my question. I was immediately concerned, well, how do you engage those that may be, especially within the Black and Brown community, that are in the police force or enforcement, law enforcement, or also worried about security, right? You talked about this issue, but you talked about it a little bit towards the end. And so it led me to think, okay, which side are you looking at? It would be good to lead with that, and then maybe follow that with, oh, there's probably some flaws. There are flaws in the system, and I want to be able to bridge those, right? And so with that said, how do you reach voters who are pro-law enforcement and are worried about national security, but then thinking about the sensitivities of policing? And so what would be some examples of you sort of bridging those two communities together to show that, you're a unifier and not a divider in that sense?
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Sarah. What we really wanted to go into with this campaign was making sure that we're not alienating our police force or anything, that we're working towards bridging the community and the police force, and bringing, as our candidate says, she's noticed a little bit of a disconnect between people of color in her community. When she was in Chicano Park, she noticed that it was people in police cars, and there wasn't the same sense of community and the same connectiveness that she wanted to see. So we're definitely not, as she mentioned in her speech, we're not pro defunding the police. We're not anti-police. We want to work with them and improve our police forces. That also goes for improving mental health in our police forces, really just working on improvement. One way we could work towards attracting a voter base that might be pro-police force and pro-security would be possibly getting an endorsement from a high-ranking police commissioner to show that we are working with them and that we are on their side, and that we are just working towards a better, safer community and a more transparent police force.
Yes, I would also like to add on to what Sarah said. I'm sorry my camera is not on. It said the co-host disabled it. I'm not sure why, but I'm unable to turn my camera on. Okay.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
But I really want to add on what Sarah said. So I did some additional research to my campaign, and I have noticed that, yes, mental health is seen as a security issue in the police force, because the three main reasons are because police don't see it as an issue. because there's so much stigma around it that they don't believe per se that it's real. And another thing is they're scared to get help and be so alienated from other police officers for getting help. And third is they're worried that their mental health issues will be revealed to the other to the higher up management. And so those are the three main defining factors on why the police forces and mental health are so stigmatized. And I just want to clear that. And that's why bringing in psychologists, psychiatrists would be really beneficial, because it would give them an opportunity to become educated and now say like, hey, mental health isn't bad. It just needs to be talked about more. So yeah.
Right. I have to say that I thank you for that. I really loved the TikTok and Instagram. It's really the first real mention and substantive use, I think, of TikTok. So that was great. And really getting to voters, a certain demographic of voters, right where they live. In terms of the issue of police violence, I thought it was great that Kiana, you took that head on. People will say that I want to defund the police. That's not what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you know what people are thinking, candidates just need to get out there and say it. You know what I'm saying? They just need to address it specifically. I do want to say, however, that as a single issue campaign for city council, at least it felt like a single issue to me. As I was going through, I kept thinking, this would be great for a ballot initiative on something to do with police violence or police brutality or police funding. But I thought the issue was well done. But I would also just say, and on the local level, that is a concern, absolutely. But people also want to make sure that the schools are okay, that roads are repaired, trash are collected. There's a lot of like nuts and bolts issues as well that can speak to the average voter and might expand your base a little bit, depending. So I think that's something important to think about. But a very specific voter outreach plan too, I thought was great. So thank you for that. You clearly put a lot of work into that. So I think that would be my question, really. I mean, while I think everyone understands who's on this call why the issue of the police would be a monumental issue that you wanted to take on. I'm wondering if there were other issues that you discussed too that you would have liked to have added.
I definitely would have added much more emphasis on like other mental health funding in hospitals as well, such as one locally here is Rady Children's Hospital, Sharp Hospital. Like in those areas, that would have been really nice, but I did want to focus on police brutality. And also I would focus like on how to help lower funded communities, because in San Diego, it is a large Hispanic and Black community here. Mm-hmm. So I would have liked to focus on that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that makes sense. Okay. All right. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Kiana. I'm a proud San Diegan, so way to go. Let's go on to team number 6, and this is Team Make It Mila.
Greetings, my fellow Californians. My name is Mila Rafferty, and I'm running for the 34th State Senate District. Today, I stand before you to address a problem that plagues our community: poverty. 16% of children and 12% of seniors live below the poverty line. This crisis is limiting our potential and hindering our progress in every aspect, from health to education. We cannot turn a blind eye to the suffering that our fellow citizens endure every day. As a champion of social justice and equity, I'm committed to addressing this crisis head on. We must nurture the passion for learning in every student so that they can achieve their goals. We must ensure that everyone has access to trustworthy and supportive healthcare to guide our community through every hardship that may arise. We must create food security security so that access to affordable, nutritious foods becomes an issue of the past. My story connects me with this problem because I grew up in Southern California, where I've been incredibly lucky to participate in a unified and diverse community. However, I also witnessed firsthand the struggles that poverty brings to my community. This inspired my volunteerism centered on education, which has earned me over 500 hours of community service. I've been able to collaborate with all members of our community, from children attending summer camp programs on scholarship to retired seniors eager to expand their learning. I'm grateful to my community for providing me with countless opportunities to learn and to grow. Now it is time for me to give back to the community that has given so much to me. My solution is simple. We must uplift our community. As your state senator, I am determined to improve our education system by constructing college and career centers at every public high school. This will ensure that our students gain the tools they need to transcend their college and career dreams. We will inspire confidence in healthcare by making its resources more accessible through the implementation of mobile clinics stationed at trustworthy locations such as schools, churches, and more. My opponent has failed to address this crisis, but I will not be deterred. I ask for your vote to make the state senate ours. Together, we can create a world where anyone can achieve their dreams alongside the community they love. Let us vote for progress, change, and a brighter future. Your vote for me expresses your love for our community and your desire to see progress actualized. I ask for your support, be it through your vote, your contribution to my campaign, or your time as a volunteer. Vamos a crear un mundo donde cualquiera pueda lograr sus sueños junto a la comunidad que ama. Hagamos que el Senado estatal sea nuestra. Vamos a votar. Muchas gracias.
Firstly, we will look at our key voter demographics. We are basing our campaign mostly in Santa Ana, due to its large population and great community. We believe that we should look at the Hispanic population, as they represent about 76.7% of the total population of the city. We will also be working with students and young adults, as well as those who come from low-income areas, especially those who are of the 12.3% who live at or below the poverty level. We firmly believe that the future begins with education, so we would like to reach out to as many students as possible. We will do this by reaching out to students at large universities such as Chapman University or Fullerton State, as well as smaller community colleges such as Santa Ana College or Santiago Canyon College. We also strongly believe in workers shaping our community, so we will make a point to work with the United Farm Workers, headed by Teresa Romero, as well as the Santa Ana Educators Association, representing the teachers of the area, as well as the Student Action with Farm Workers group. We would also love to make a point to reach out to more community-based organizations, such as churches like the Cross of Gold Santa Ana or the Cavalry Church of Santa Ana, as well as markets such as the Farmers Santa Ana Market or the Carniceria Santa Ana Meat Market, where we believe that we can give out information on our campaign, as well as resources for continuing education and getting affordable healthcare, along with other relevant information. Owing to the heritage of many groups in this area, we will be reaching out to many Spanish language newspapers, including El Aviso magazine, as nearly 80% of the population speaks a non-English language at home. We will also be reaching out to Spanish language radios, such as 97.5 or 107.5. To show our dedication to our community, we will try our best to spread awareness of resources, allowing people to continue their education, access affordable healthcare, or learn more about opportunities available to them and their families via flyers and digital media campaigns. We also think that having our candidate interviewed on the radio would be a great way to reach out to the people of Congressional District 34. We would also love to approach local education and healthcare nonprofits in order to do joint volunteer work, as we believe in action, not just words. We will also assist with voter registration and provide rides to the polling stations if they are needed. We are running for the 34th State Senate District seat, where we will be specifically targeting low-income neighborhoods with high population density. We have picked 3 neighborhoods that we believe would best represent different areas of the 34th District. Firstly, we are going to be canvassing in Cornerstone Village in Santa Ana. This is a neighborhood of a good size, not too small or big, and a very manageable place for many new volunteers to begin canvassing. Most people in this area live in apartments, so it would be both time and cost efficient. In addition, these people live in an area listed as residential affordable, in an area with a registered voter population of almost 70,000 people, with an 80.3% Hispanic population, meaning that they are both in our target demographic and are willing and able to enact change on their own. Secondly, we would like to canvass in Casita Street of Anaheim, which is a group of apartments This would mean that it would be densely populated and help us expand our voter base beyond Santa Ana. Again, this city has a population of voters of around 70,000 and has a Hispanic population of around 55%, also falling well within our target demographic. Finally, we will be canvassing North Placencia Avenue, located in Fullerton. It is a population-dense area and is located near a university with a student population of around 40K. This area also has almost a 13% poverty rate and a registered voting population of almost 71,000. Thank you for listening.
Nice work, Make It Mila. Do we have representatives from Make It Mila? Hi, Mila, welcome.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here today. I have one other partner on the Zoom, but I don't know if she's having connection issues.
Can you hear me?
I could hear you, Julia.
I'm so sorry. My computer's kind of going crazy right now, but my name is Julia Dang, and I was a campaign manager on the Make It Mila campaign.
Great. Don't worry about the technology. That's just both the benefit and bane of our existence these days.
Sure is.
So yes, great job. I really think there's lots of really good positive things here to talk about. I love, Mila, how you used your qualifications about community service as one of the reasons people should elect you or pay attention to your candidacy. That's always a great idea to talk specifically about what you've done and how it applies to what you propose you want to do. I also like the fact that you mentioned your opponent directly. Not everybody always does that. It's not always a good idea. It depends on the context in a lot of ways, but for you to call them out and say, you know, my opponent has failed to address these issues is a key point that is useful to make. And then I also like the fact, quite frankly, that you just made a direct call for money and volunteers and support. And for their vote, right? I mean, you want their time, talent, and treasure, and you might as well just say it, because that, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I thought all those things were great. Mila, my friend, slow down just a touch. Slow down just a touch. You had a great speech and really good delivery, and your enunciation, the fact that I could understand it all despite you being rather fast, was impressive. But I'd still slow it down a little bit because I think you had really good things to say that people would miss given the flood of information that was coming their way. So just a future tip for your next campaign. Okay, so my question. I love the kind of bread and butter issues chosen in terms of healthcare, poverty, and food insecurity. That those are huge things. I'm wondering, in terms of the demographics that you have in that area, why there wasn't potentially a discussion, or maybe there was, about immigration.
Yes, so one of the preliminary discussions that we had was a fear that people might not want to turn out to vote out of fear that they're going, like, problems with visa or green card, and also the fact that, you know, local elections, people who are not here legally, they can vote, but not for state senate. So, and what we wanted to do was find ways to connect to our community, which is why we plan on meeting and having these sort of press conference type communications at places like churches and panaderias where people are likely to meet up. So, of course, we want to mention immigration, but we also have to address the issue that is directly plaguing our voting population, which is poverty. And once we address poverty, we can then address immigration, because it's not going to be very useful to address that if there's no resources for them to take.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you for that.
Great job. And that's, I think, the biggest point that I had to offer or suggestion is slowing down. I can't tell you, it not only you're not sharing some valuable things that are coming out of the speech, and I applaud you both for the sort of the thought process and the messaging, but it also it shows signs of nervousness to voters and sort of not coordinated. So you just don't want to give off that impression where clearly it's not, but otherwise you both did a great job. I really enjoyed hearing more about the campaign. I think what was great to see is sort of the diversity in media outreach. And so I'd love to kind of get your thoughts about what encouraged you to incorporate ethnic press and mediums into your campaigns, and then where did you see that working at other campaigns that you can highlight?
So in Santa Ana, which makes up the majority of the district in which I'm running in, it's a very big Hispanic population, and it also is a very big art center. There are museums, there are galleries. Art is very important to the people that live there, and it might be surprising to some, but it's true. So we really wanted to incorporate culture because ultimately art is representative of culture, and we felt that ways to connect to the community was by promoting the sort of multicultural perspective that we want to appreciate the different cultures that exist, despite there being a very large majority of one particular thing, and sort of just expand on that and show that this is what makes our community unique. This is what we want to support, and we want to make sure people have the resources to continue supporting these unique cultures where we all get to learn from one another and uplift one another.
It's interesting. I'm listening to you now and I'm like, oh my God, this is what I would say has a perfect stump speech. Almost I might have to go and vote for you in Never Never Land. But I mean, again, when you are, just for future references, if you are ever making a presentation or whatever, tape yourself and then listen to it, because when I'm talking with you regularly and listening to how you're responding, it's very captivating. And so I just want you to know that this is you both are great and great job. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Julia, real quick, what was your part of the campaign?
I was the campaign manager.
Okay. And so in putting together, I just wanted to ask one quick question because we hadn't heard from you yet, if you don't mind, Julia. Do you have a sense in terms of how you put the campaign together with your outreach plan, how you were going to focus on some voter registration in the mix? Because obviously that's always a key factor.
So as for voter registration, there are some very active groups, such as Democratic clubs. We also definitely reached, we placed an emphasis on universities, as many young adults are just more politically active. The reason we reached out to a lot of we tried to make a very community-based campaign, which is why you see an emphasis on churches and schools. We wanted to try and show people the good that we were willing to do in the hopes that we could inspire them. I believe we put it in our campaign video that we would try and assist with voter registration and getting people to the polls. And we know that often these things can be kind of unapproachable, which was why we placed so much emphasis on Spanish language media, drawing inspiration from local campaigns around where we live, where in my community, there are many Vietnamese language outreach goals. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Wonderful job. Make it Mila. Congratulations and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. We are moving on to team number 7. We have team number 7 and team number 8 left. So team number 7 is Team Pixley.
A daughter, a mother, a sister, a friend. Where does the importance in these roles lie to you? Do you have a daughter? Are you a mother, a sister? We all have people that we love and that we want to protect. According to the Human Trafficking Hotline, California consistently has the highest human trafficking rates nationwide, with 1,507 cases reported in 2019 and close to 1,300 of them being women. I'm Sydney Pixley, and I'm running to be your next California governor. As a woman born and raised in California, I've witnessed the danger that this state can hold firsthand. I've witnessed this crime ruin lives, families, and communities, and I'm here to actively put a stop to it. As your first female California governor, it's time to take our next step toward brighter futures and real solutions. You can have faith knowing that I'll keep the people's needs in mind. Without fast, important, and logical action, it could be the people that you love ending up in these statistics. It could be you. I'm running to decrease the astonishing numbers of women, children, and immigrants that are needlessly endangered in California. Within our plan to increase safety in California, we want to make sure that the safety of our children, the next generation, and the most vulnerable of us all will be equipped with the tools necessary to ensure safety in their lives. We'll develop new curriculum through base education that focuses on internet safety, signs to recognize and avoid, and red flags for traffickers. It will include help hotlines and what to do if they find themselves in a dangerous situation. And lastly, push for the advertisement of all student resources, reinforcing that schools can be a safe place for students. They'll feel more comfortable when they may need us. New training will also be available for faculty, first responders, and any other mandated reporter working in the state. For many, help me walk past them every single day, yet they don't reach out for fear of their situation. Many first responders fail to see signs of trafficking and miss opportunities to help. This campaign aims to implement wellness checks by labor boards via yearly business eval, and this routine procedure would offer a safe space for victims to reach out. According to the Human Trafficking Institute, 72% of victims nationwide are immigrants. The bigger problem lies in the fact that there's no missing persons report to go off of, or much of anything to go off of to locate them. In order to keep them safe, we need to ensure and further integrate secure immigration policies into the United States so that there is safe passage available into America. And advertising of resources for trafficking in America will lead to easily recognizable signs of help. I hope to guide this community with a supporting hand, and I can't do it without your vote. Remember, a vote for me is a vote for advocacy. You have the power to ensure safety and protect the thousands of women, children, and immigrants who have been endangered. Make the right choice and make their voice heard. End their silence and this needless violence in California. Let's bring a better tomorrow with a vote for Pixley. Within our voter outreach plan, we want to make sure that we stay central to our vision and our mission. Our voter demographics are focused on female minorities and immigrants, as they are the highest affected by human trafficking, which is the main problem that this campaign wants to tackle. Our outreach plan offers a wide variety of advertising, door-to-door volunteers, public appearances, social media usage, television advertisements, consistently posting new content on the social media, and posting it platform-wide to reach multiple generations and groups of people. We'd like to contact current prospective voters through cold emailing, phone calling, and flyer distribution to get our face, name, and campaign recognizable and out there. We'll post our public appearances and announce them a month in advance before the event. We'd like to highly encourage female immigrant volunteers to use our platform to share their stories. We'd also very like to work closely with human trafficking organizations, connect with potential volunteers there, endorsements or interviews with people at human trafficking organizations. Our platform aims to emphasize the importance of women's safety, especially when it comes to human trafficking in California. It's such a growing problem here, and we're here to fix that. We can gain volunteers in multiple ways. Organizations who already have volunteers, such as Polaris, Fairgirls, and more, offering community service hours to high schoolers who can help send emails, go door to door, and spread our message. And target groups of female minorities, as we said before, so we can help share their stories via our platform. We can draw people in through hashtags, campaigns, social media, and advertising ourselves. We have a few target cities that we really like to focus in within California, them being Chico, Sacramento, San Francisco, San Jose, Fresno, Los Angeles, and the biggest of them all is San Diego. Out of every city in California, San Diego's trafficking rates are the highest, as it's right on the Mexico border, and a lot of immigrants pass through here, and we'd like to make this a safer area and inform the area as well. Our budget maximum is $80 million for the campaign. 65% of this would go to advertising, phone calls, mail, etc. 15% to travel costs for volunteers, recruiting teams, personal campaign team, and the candidate, and 20% would go to donation, endorsements, pay to employees, and daily operations. We'll get 55% of this from organizational-based donations, 25% from federal government funds, and 20% from personal and community donations. We'll be announcing our campaign in April and pushing hard to the finish line in November. Remember, your vote counts, a campaign based on trust and legitimacy. Your vote not matters just to this campaign, but greatly to the future success of the California state. So let's keep California golden, and as I said before, vote for a brighter tomorrow with Pixley.
Great job, Team Pixley. Do we have any reps from the team that would like to turn on their camera? Excellent. Hi, Sydney. Hi, Kalina.
Hi, this great job. I know we've been saying great job. I mean, this is, an issue that I think you both did a great job of incorporating it into your plan and thought process of where to target voters, where you're witnessing the most action activity, but more importantly, moving people to vote for you because of those issues. In your stump speech, I love that you emphasize being the first female, possible female governor-elect, but also using that to say, as a first female, you're here to represent all Californians, right? And so, highlighting in a historic title and what would become something historic in California that would be a benefit to not just all women, but to all Californians. I thought that was great. I think also what I enjoyed, even on both sides, from the campaign plan to the your stump speech, is ending with an action item, talking directly to the voter. It starts with you, and this is how we can work together to solve this. I thought that was very impactful. I would just, I guess, question, you talked about witnessing some human trafficking atrocities. Is there sort of a story behind that, or also just getting a sense of why you think this issue in particular would resonate with all Californians outside of the areas where it is close to the border, et cetera?
Yeah, definitely. So as far as why this would resonate with all Californians, we tried to really reiterate the message that California consistently has the highest rates nationwide for human trafficking. And by introducing with, a mother, a sister, that kind of connects with everybody. It might not be you, but it could be someone that you love. So overall, we want to make a safer state and area for not just me, not just you, but everybody. And we want to tackle, obviously, the issues in the biggest areas, and in doing so, all the smaller areas will follow.
Yeah, and I just wanted, before we go to Lisa, I really love the 4P plan, simplicity. It just, I think if you were ever thinking about getting investors or whatever, it's just succinct. And I thought you guys did a great job. And I'm assuming Kalina, as a campaign manager, sort of putting all of that and explaining that was very thoughtful. So kudos to you both.
Yeah, I definitely echo that. I thought you had some great ads that are very appealing to me. And I thought the way you kind of wound the issues of public safety and gender violence and immigration into one issue that you could make as an example, and then how you would handle it was a very sophisticated thing to do, because it showed a deeper understanding of those issues, and therefore hopefully a more thoughtful response with solutions. So I thought that was an interesting choice. I do think running statewide, you probably have to talk about some other things too. But this would have been a great stump speech for very specific audiences, for Southern California, for, you know, a lot of places that I think would resonate here. I love that you also just flat out asked for your vote. You'd be surprised how many, especially first-time candidates, don't ask for your vote, don't directly say that. So that was great. And I noted, obviously, that you were talking about reaching out for endorsements, which is really important. And I think very important in California, because there are so many good civic groups, so many well-known politicians, that having endorsements will really can really lend some flavor in terms of a campaign. So how are you all going to go after endorsements? And did you have any specific targets of the kinds of groups or people that you wanted endorsements from?
It was mentioned briefly in our voter outreach plan, but something that we really wanted to gain endorsements from was current human trafficking institutions. And we think that in doing that, it really shows that we're genuine, that we're here to help and we're here to bring real solutions. And we would also get, I believe other campaigns we're talking earlier about, there's a lot of grants available as well. And then of course, donations from specific donations within the community and things like that.
I thought the speech really was quite good. And the beginning part of it, you know, do you have a sister? Do you have a daughter? I thought that was really, it just caught people right away. And you got to be able to do that in the first couple of sentences or you lost them for the rest. So I thought that was excellent. So well done to your whole team.
Thank you.
Well done, Sydney and Kalina. Thank you so much. So our last but not least team, number 8, we're now going to watch Team Abby's video.
Hello, my name is Kemi Wetzel, and I'm the campaign manager for Team Abby, and these are the members of our group. This is our campaign event flyer. We wanted to create a flyer for an event that focuses on one of our core issues, which is climate change. And we decided to make the flyer the standard Instagram size, which makes it more accessible given that one of our target demographics is younger people. And this is actually the event where our candidate gave their stump speech. So without further ado, let's hear their stump speech.
Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be speaking with you all today. My name is Abby Rodersheimer, and I am excited to announce my candidacy for the 5th City District Representative of Santa Cruz. This area's beauty is not lost on me, and neither are the priorities of the citizens who inhabit it. I grew up in Laguna Beach, a small town just down the coast. It was there that I was able to see the effects of climate change firsthand. Those same effects are visible to the visitors and residents of Santa Cruz. In addition, I was able to experience the benefits of a well-funded education. I want the children of Santa Cruz to have the same opportunities I did. Furthermore, I would like to highlight my commitment to furthering equity in all forms. As you may know, my opponent disagrees with me in all of these fields. He denies climate change, believes education is adequate as is, and refuses to address the growing need for racial, gender, and ethnic equity. We cannot ignore that Hispanics and Latinos in our area earn significantly less than their white counterparts. Neither can we act as if snow is typical. Citizens have faced multiple power outages due to the unprecedented weather that is undoubtedly a result of climate change. Students have also missed multiple days of education due to weather-induced school site closures. Additionally, our schools face inconsistent proficiency scores in English and math. According to niche.com, Harbor High School has just 41% of students proficient in math, whereas Santa Cruz High School has 63% of students proficient in math. It is my civic duty to represent the wants, but also needs of the citizens of Santa Cruz. Once elected, I will work to receive more funding for education, pass laws that limit local waste and emissions, and work to grow job security for all groups. As the incumbent leaves office, this is our opportunity for a new perspective. With this new perspective, we will see cleaner beaches and brighter futures for all of our students. I encourage you all to help fight for this new perspective by volunteering, donating, and most importantly, voting. Your vote counts. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful speech. Now on to our campaign ad. This is our campaign ad. Some of the key elements we wanted to include in the ad were recognition, one of our candidates' face, and also of Santa Cruz, which is in the background. We also wanted it to be memorable and have our campaign slogan, which is a new perspective. We also made sure to put our issues front and center. They are equity, education, and the environment. We also wanted to put a twist on the traditional red, white, and blue for a candidate, making it pink, white, and blue, which adds a more traditionally feminine spin to our campaign. Now on to our voter outreach plan. This is our field and volunteer outreach plan. Starting off with our timeline, our candidate announces their candidacy in March. By early April, we're focusing on recruiting and maintaining volunteers. In May, we start knocking on doors and registering voters. In June, we'll seek key endorsements. By July, we'll file all necessary paperwork. In August, we'll knock on doors and have a candidate speak with key voters. In September, fundraising, events, and meet and greets will be our focus. In October, ballots will get mailed out. We'll send out a flyer reminding people to vote and start our get out the vote strategies. In November, we have election day, but we'll make sure to send out a flyer the day before to make sure people vote. This is the map for the City of Santa Cruz District 5, which is where we'll be running, and it also shows the precincts, which is more concentrated data. This is the citizen voting age population, so we are primarily a population of white people, followed by minorities, which includes Black, Asian, and Latinx, but then more specifically, this is the Latinx population. So our data and our voter demographics will be focused on young white Democrats, but we'll also be focusing on the Latinx population to help bridge the gap between would-be voters and actual voters. In terms of messaging, we'll be focusing on flyers and campaign ads, both through social media and mailing. We'll also be focusing on having about an event per month, which could be a meet and greet, a town hall, or a speech. In terms of volunteer recruitment, we'll have QR codes at every event where you can sign up to volunteer or donate to the campaign. For those who sign up to be volunteers, we'll send out weekly email and text updates to keep volunteers engaged throughout the campaign. We'll also reach out to certain clubs at UC Santa Cruz and ask them to help with volunteer recruitment and voter registration. In terms of voter registration, our two primary focuses are a voter registration drive and setting up booths at local community centers such as churches to help spread information. In terms of get out the vote, we'll be focusing on door knocking, flyers, social media posts, and giving speeches to target audiences, as well as distributing merchandise. We have a budget of $25,000. We'll be spending that on flyers and ads, which we hope to send out 3 times during the campaign. We plan on running a program in which we have volunteers drive people to the polls, and we plan on reimbursing them for gas money. We'll also have to buy some voter data to help make more targeted decisions about door-to-door campaigning. And the primary focus of our budget will be events. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation. Here's a look at our bibliography and sources. Thank you so much.
Okay. Welcome, Camille and Abigail. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So, judges, who would like to start?
I think it's my turn in the ping pong match we're playing. Okay, great. I have to say, just on a side note, I love the little speaker in the corner. I found that very personable. It was a nice little addition. But really a very good job. I thought that the way you talked about climate change was compelling because you put a personal story to it. Talking about the crazy weather that California has been having. Everybody can relate to that. Everybody knows that it's new and different and weird, and that there are consequences, huge consequences to it, even beyond the normal that you see in terms of California. So I thought that was a great way to kind of personalize the issue. I do think too that in terms of your targeting, that given who the demographics of who was in your district, that was probably the appropriate choice. But I would also caution you that you would want to make sure you did good outreach to groups led by people of color. I mean, I think that would be hugely important, especially to have the full pulse of the district. The last question I had, and by the way, I love the timeline, the way you presented the plan. The last question I had was the whole pink thing in the ad. And again, me being a gender equality expert, I don't have an issue with that. But, you know, especially after 2016 with Hillary Clinton, I think that reasonable people can disagree about whether she played to the fact that she was a woman and that she was going to be first too much or not enough, quite frankly. But when you draw attention to the fact, not that they don't already know, but when you emphasize that your candidate's a woman, as our opening speaker today said, that's gonna, there are certain hurdles that you are just gonna have to face. And so in some respects, I like that you all just wanted to embrace it and say, I am woman, hear me roar, and this is just what we're gonna roll with. But I was also wondering if you all had what kind of conversation you had in coming to that decision, because it was an interesting choice for sure.
I think it was definitely an understanding of the community that we are running in and how they're fairly progressive and they're less likely to see it as a detriment and to play to our strengths and be like, and understand that we are running as a woman and that's our perspective, because our campaign slogan is a new perspective. So really playing into that.
Uh-huh. I mean, there is this thing called the gender gap, right? And so in some respects, appealing to women voters is critically important if you're going to win. I mean, the gender gap is found up and down the ballot. Heck, you'd find it in a race for dog catcher if you really tested it. So that is a reality, but it is something to think about too, because it is a minefield for women. And I don't think anybody has the right answers on it yet. So just good food for thought. But overall, I thought a really nice job. And I'm so glad that you're part of the competition. Thank you for being patient and going last with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, echo Lisa. Well, great job to you both. Enjoyed learning about the your issues and why you chose it, and sort of the plan behind that. I think the thing that stood out to me was you guys are talking about equity, everywhere, right? And having sort of equitable results and solutions to not just only one area, but everywhere. And I think people forget to sort of talk about that, and sort of in line with what Lisa said, when you're talking about equitable solutions and also inviting everyone to be conscious of, and not to negate the pink or pro women, because I think that's great, but then also thinking about diversifying flyers or diversifying other ads so that, again, everyone feels included. Because what I have found, and even years of just doing, started out as grassroots organizing, is there was a time where that would have been so attractive, but then now we're dealing with, and outside of gender, but how people identify themselves, right? And so you will have what people seem or maybe associated with female or women, but don't identify as that. And so that's another discussion. Just always to be mindful, because that's the future, and we have to be cognizant of what the voting demographics look like. I think you were one of the few too that talked about your opponent, which was amazing. So great job. I guess I want to get a little bit more what made you sort of think about incorporating your opponent in the messaging, because you have sort of two school of thoughts. You have candidates who stay away and don't want to even bring attention to the opponent because they don't want to bring sort of awareness to their name or brand or whatever. And then you have another school of thought of you need to highlight all the, crap, whatever they're doing, and it's not good. And so I guess in sort of that tug of war, what made you both decide to go with that route?
Yeah, so when I was initially drafting up the speech, I knew that I wanted to mention the opponent just because he was someone who was disagreeing with everything. And given that it is a very liberal area, especially with UCSC being right nearby and being so liberal, I knew that it would create some frustration almost with what the current thing was, especially with the incumbent actually supporting him as outlined. So I wanted to kind of create some frustration with the current perspective and kind of encourage people to support our new perspective. So people wanted the change, and rather than voting for something consistent, they would vote for a new perspective, a new change in legislation.
I didn't know I was muted. I said great work. That's good to know. Great perspective on that. So thank you.
And definitely last but not least. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Great job, Camille and Abigail. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
So we've now had the opportunity to view all 8 videos, and I know you are inspired. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't be. These young ladies, I'm so proud of all of them. I really am. So at this point, because we did have a little hiccup earlier, the judges and I are going to go into a deliberation room, and I'm going to hand off the mic to Nancy Chu, who is our GovTrek committee and AAUW member. Thank you, Nancy, for taking the mic. We'll be back in 15 minutes and possibly less.
Hello. On behalf of the GovTrek committee and AUW, I want to thank each of the speakers who gave us their time, life stories, and insights to help you become a part of a new generation of women leaders. A big thank you to Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi of San Francisco. She is currently the Congresswoman from San Francisco and is the Speaker Emerita of the United States House of Representatives, who the New York Times called the most powerful woman in America politics to date. She inspired us by saying, there is nothing more wholesome on our policy and politics than the full participation of women, and concluded by saying, when women succeed, America succeeds. I also want to say thank you to Anna Eshoo, United States Congresswoman from Silicon Valley, who reminded us that although women are still underrated, don't be deterred. Prove your doubters wrong with your success, because women bring different life experiences to the public table that need to be addressed. A thank you to Toni Atkins, President pro tempore of the California State of the State Senate, who you just heard from. I'm sure your ears perked up when she advised to reach out to your local legislator for internships. Thank you, Fiona Ma, the first woman of color elected to Treasurer of California, who recommended starting at the local level to build your resume. She advocated having a support group of women and surrounding yourself with positive people to help you maintain your competitive spirit and the fire in your belly. Thank you, Summer Stephen, District Attorney of San Diego County, which is the second largest in California. Summer said, use your courage and passion to walk through the fear of putting yourself out there to run for office and persevere despite rejections. Thank you to Anne Marie Schubert, former Sacramento County District Attorney. She said, quote, the most powerful weapon on earth is the fire, is your human soul on fire. And if you can find the fire in your soul, you're going to be the most powerful women that face California in the future. Thank you to Miranda Drolet, Sacramento Deputy District Attorney, for giving us a brief, relevant overview of the foundations of our government based on the constitutions of the United States and the state of California. Thank you to Ellen Montanari, Deputy Campaign Manager for Representative Mike Levin. She was the highest ranking woman on that campaign. She spoke at 2 sessions, so double thanks to her. She told you how to get your resume read and how to have a successful political campaign. Thank you to Kathleen Van Austin, AUW California advocate and lobbyist. She provided practical uses for an elevator speech and how to show confidence. Remember the elevator speech exercise that you all did? I hope you will continue to practice using that and use it in different situations. Thank you to Regina Lusenko, lobbyist and former press secretary to New York State Senator Parker, and daughter of immigrant Haitian parents. Double thanks to Regina for being both a judge and a panelist on GovTrek. As a panelist, Regina showed how to handle a career and family responsibilities and how to expand your resources by reaching out to experts, even CEOs, despite the fact that you don't know each other. Thank you to Shana Hassan, newly elected as Vice President of the San Diego Unified School Board. Shana is a young mom who moved through gender bias and kept right on working. She showed the value of having a thick skin. Thank you to Risela Ramirez, Senior Director of Community Engagement and Partnerships for the Office of Nora Vargas, San Diego Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Vargas is chairwoman and the first Latina on the Board of Supervisors. Risela showed us how young women can successfully lobby and impact legislation. Her advice: advocate for yourself. Thank you to Hillary Nemchek, former Director of Communications for the San Diego City Attorney's Office, who outlined what makes a great stump speech and how an internship can lead to a political job. Last but not least, thank you to Marlene Kane, Program Director for AUW California Speech Track. Marlene showed you how to develop your unique voice and be a great communicator, because a great leader has to be a great communicator. GovTrek is proud to have presented such a powerful group of women. I also want to thank them for emphasizing the importance of networking. I hope you will start networking now and be part of a GovTrek alumni group to stay in touch with each other and support each other as you take the next steps towards a career in political office or public service. And now, let's hear from Tomasa Santoya, GovTrek's fabulous college student intern.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tomasa. My pronouns are she, her, ella. Today, I'm here to talk to you about something that is very important to me, AAUW's student membership. Next slide. All right, buckle up and get ready to hear about the amazingness that is AAUW. AAUW has been fighting the good fight for over 130 years with a message to uplift women and girls through education, advocacy, and as research. As young women, you are at a pivotal moment in your lives where you're starting to envision your future and all the ways you can make your mark on the world. And guess what? AAUW is here to help you do just that. This powerhouse of an organization provides incredible opportunities for college students to sharpen their leadership skills, gain invaluable experience, and cultivate connections that will last a lifetime. It's time to smash the glass ceiling and claim your rightful place in the world. And AAUW is a perfect partner to help you do just that. Next slide. Do you know what's better than crushing it in school and kicking butt in your career? Doing it with equal opportunities. That's why AAUW is committed to making sure women like you have access to the same educational, economic, and social advantages as anyone else. For starters, AAUW offers help in the form of educational funding and grants for graduate and postgraduate. Yep, that means way less stress about student loans and more time to focus on becoming the boss you were born to be. They also have career development programs and workshops to help you maximize your earning potential and negotiate the salary you deserve. But wait, there's more. AAUW is all about promoting social and racial justice and ending discrimination based on gender, race, and other identities. They have resources and support for women of color, LGBTQ+ individuals, and women with disabilities, so you can be yourself and reach for the stars at the same time. And speaking of racial justice, AAUW knows that systemic racism affects women of color in a big way. That's why they are working hard to promote racial justice through their programs and advocacy efforts. They are helping women of color pursue higher education and breaking down policies and practices that keep racial disparities alive. So girls, don't let anything hold you back from achieving your full potential. AA has got your back. So how do you join the fun? Well, we have a few options. You can either join your local AAUW branch and meet other awesome women in your area, or sign up online to become a student affiliate at large. And get this, if your college or university is an AAUW partner, you can even become an e-student affiliate for free. As an e-student affiliate, you'll have access to all the amazing benefits that come with being a part of AAUW. You'll receive electronic copies of AAUW's publication and research, which are packed with inspiring stories and helpful tips for women like us. Plus, you'll have access to all kinds of other core resources and opportunities to help you succeed, both in school and beyond. Next slide. There are also opportunities to get involved with AAUW. First up, we've got the California online branch, where you can join Zoom meetings and connect with other amazing women in your state, which is cool because it's like having your own all-girls club to help you support and pursue your dreams and academic goals. But that's not all. You've also got to check out the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders. I personally really want to go to this. Definitely part of my plan next year. This annual conference is the ultimate event for college women who are ready to take on the world. You'll get top-notch leadership training, tons of inspiration, and the chance to meet other powerful women who are just like you. Next slide. Joining AAUW is a great way to be part of a movement that's making the world more fair and equal for all women. I can say from my own personal experience that being an AAUW student member has changed my life for the better. I've grown as a leader, had incredible opportunities, and found my passion for advocating for others. As an AAUW student, I've met some amazing women who have become my mentors and friends. Shout out to Shauna, Tracy, Marie, and Nancy. They've inspired me to dream big and work hard to make a difference. I want every high school girl to have the same chance to meet incredible women, find her passion, and make her mark in this world. That's why I encourage you to join AAUW and start your own journey to success. Next slide. So what are you waiting for? Don't let anyone tell you, girls, that you guys can't change the world, because we know better. Head to AAUW's website, Facebook, and Instagram pages to learn more and sign up to become a member today. Let's show the world what we're made of. Thank you for your time.
I think now it's time for us to go to the People's Choice Award. Now's the time when everybody in our audience can vote for who they think should be the winning team. There are 8 teams. They were all wonderful, and I'm sure it's going to be very difficult for you to decide.
I am pleased to announce that Team Elena has come in number 1 on our People's Choice Award.
Congratulations. Job well done. I think all the teams did a wonderful job. But
I am Sandy Gabe. I'm the AAUW California State President. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the amazing work that our GovTrek teams did over the last 2 months. You can tell from the quality of the videos you watched that they participated fully in the program, and some are ready to step into public life, either in front of or behind the camera. And it's rewarding to see their passion and interest in local and national issues reflected in their campaign simulations today. I'm pleased that this inaugural GovTrek program provides another way to inspire young women I just got a message on the screen. Inspires other young women to become active ambassadors for change and equity. GovTrek will be added to our other state projects, which are SpeechTrek and TechTrek. And you can find out more about these programs on our website. Nancy already thanked a number of individuals for lending their time and expertise to develop the program. I wanted to take a short moment to acknowledge Kathy Harper, who was the original inspiration for the concept of GovTrek program. She launched this locally in the Carlsbad Oceanside Vista branch just as the pandemic hit. And she's been a strong contributor to putting the state program together and working with Shauna and the GovTrek team. Additionally, I have to give kudos to Shauna, and this won't be a surprise to her, even though she's not in the room. I've told her this already, so I'm not sharing any secrets. She took on the challenge of morphing the original program into what you experienced today. and she and the GovTrek team have worked tirelessly and sometimes 24 hours a day to develop a meaningful experience for our GovTrek participants. And I don't say that lightly because Shauna and I have been on at midnight working on materials, so it has been around the clock, and I give them my heartfelt thanks. If you're itching to become an AAUW California member, please contact your local branch. You can find them on our website under the Join Us button.
Okay, well now is the time we've all been waiting for, and these young women have worked so hard to see exactly how they'd come out in the pecking order. And the reality is, not only did they learn about campaigns, but doing it this way and having a competition was an excellent way to introduce them to a campaign, right? A campaign is a competition, and in order to do a good campaign, to be a candidate, to run a political campaign, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. So I'm really impressed with all the teams that did that and did that so well. And now, if we get a little drum roll, this is time for us to announce the winners. So I'm going to go ahead, Sandy, and ask you to go to the next slide. All right, so we're going to go through the categories here. And so there's something for each section where we judged. And this is for Best Candidate Speech. And Team Juliana, with specifically Juliana Kolb as the candidate, is to be congratulated for a wonderfully persuasive and compelling speech. Nice charisma there. So congratulations to Juliana. I don't know, Sandy, if she's here, if we do anything, or you just want me to run straight through them?
You can just keep on going, Lisa.
Okay, so next slide. All right, campaign management. Tarina, you're up for Team Carrillo. This is, you got the campaign management award. It is no small feat to be a campaign manager, to wrangle the cats of volunteers and candidate alike. Excellent job. Excellent job. Congratulations. And next. All right, Team Make It Mila. You did such a great job on your voter outreach plan. A campaign can't win without a voter outreach plan, a good one. It's as simple as that. So this was key, and you did a great job. Meadow Chu and also Elizabeth Young, specifically calling you out here. Congratulations for your wonderful field work. You could have a fine future in grassroots organizing if you want it. Congratulations. And next, for campaign ad and flyer, you know, this is a visual age, and people need to see ads that they like, or even ads that they don't like, that help them make up their mind. So Team Aquino won this particular category. Andrea Rojas, the communications director and speechwriter, gets the nod here. So congratulations, Andrea, and congratulations, Team Aquino. We know a lot of times this is a group effort. So like with all the other awards, even where we're touting individual members, we know it's a group effort. And we want to make sure you understand that we respect that and appreciate that. Okay, next one. And the grand prize team. Okay, Team Elena. This was a hard decision. This was a hard decision. I had to look at all those videos a couple different times to really make up my mind. And it was close. I will also tell you it was narrow. This was everybody really did well. So it was a narrow competition. But Sophie, Sydney, Abigail, Haley, Elena, you get the grand prize for the winning team in terms of the whole shooting match. So congratulations, and thank you so much for being part of the program.
Congratulations to all the teams and all the winners. You deserve it.